Business Book Summaries.
The Now Habit, A Practical Guide to Beating Procrastination and Enjoying Stress-Free Breaks by Neil Fiore. Procrastination is a bit like a fear. It makes you dodge tasks that seem to threaten your self-worth. Linking your value to your work opens the door to procrastination. To overcome it, disconnect your self-worth from your tasks. Be kind to yourself, regardless of criticism. Choose to start tasks because you want to, not because you have to finish them. This breaks the cycle of procrastination.
Before we delve further, remember that we regularly share new content. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel Business Book Summaries and hit the notification bell for the latest updates.
Recognize the 5 stages of procrastination and the anxiety that comes with it. Issues tied to procrastination, like overworking and perfectionism, can result in feeling overwhelmed. Modern technology, such as computers and phones, offers tempting distractions for procrastinators. Appreciate the importance of taking breaks, having vacations, exercising, and scheduling guilt-free play. This gives your unconscious mind the space to be creative and solve problems. Deciding to start a task doesn't require you to be confident or highly motivated. It's an executive decision made by your mature self. The unscheduled method encourages you to begin work sooner by safeguarding time for leisure. It's not just about to-do lists, it's like punching a time clock for 15 to 30 minutes of focused work. This helps you see progress and curtails procrastination. To beat procrastination, decide when and what to start for 15 to 30 minutes, sending clear signals to your body and brain. Managing procrastination requires making statements that guide and direct your actions. The procrastination coping mechanism. To help procrastinators, use positive statements instead of saying they have to finish all of this work perfectly. Encourage them to choose when to start and aim to have a draft by 4 p.m. Provide positive feedback on their progress, avoiding overwhelming and distant deadlines. Procrastination might seem like a weird way of coping, but it's actually an ineffective method. While procrastinators may meet deadlines, the quality of their work suffers. Criticizing them doesn't help, it only reinforces their self-criticism. Procrastination is often a habit developed to deal with anxiety about starting or completing tasks. It stems from low self-esteem, perfectionism, fear of failure and success, indecisiveness, a lack of work-play balance, ineffective goal setting, and negative beliefs about work and oneself. Instead of focusing on the task, procrastinators dwell on what's wrong with them. The fear of failure arises from linking your work to your identity. To overcome it, accept feedback on your work without taking it as a judgment of your worth. Fear of success occurs when finishing a task leads to higher expectations and more work, often with little recognition or praise. 3 major fears contribute to procrastination: the terror of being overwhelmed, fear of failure, and fear of not finishing. Procrastination can be a passive-aggressive way of rebelling against authority, even if that authority is yourself. To break the cycle, shift your focus from what might go wrong to simply doing the task at hand. Instead of putting things off using your old, outdated coping strategy, try a new approach. Focus on safety and concentration in just 3 deep breaths. When you exhale, signal to your body and brain that it's safe to relax. This helps turn off stress hormones and releases energy, just like a champion athlete gearing up for performance. Instead of waiting for a real threat, like a deadline, to break free from perfectionism, use it as a motivator. Don't fall into the trap of saying, "I work best at the last minute." You don't need to be perfect, just do your best without worrying about criticism. Don't use the last-minute excuse, break the cycle by starting early, even if it's just 5 minutes. Inoculate yourself against the fear of procrastination by breaking through inertia and getting your brain working for you. Track the time you spend working to see your progress rather than focusing on the failure to meet an unrealistic schedule. Understand that procrastination is a temporary solution to avoid something you perceive as a threat to your worth. Challenge the equation you've set up or accepted from society and conditioning. To break the cycle, recognize when you start avoiding a task and face your fears for a brief period, say 5 to 10 minutes. Remind yourself that you're not obligated to finish all the work perfectly and sacrifice fun in your life. The procrastinator's core issues are similar to what motivates workaholics, causing comparable problems for both groups. Both procrastinators and workaholics face challenges because unfinished work is always on their minds. They tend to believe that life can only happen when all their work is done, leading to high stress levels and difficulty enjoying life. Changing your patterns and perspective empowers you to make choices. Shift away from saying I have to and embrace statements like I choose, I decide, or I will. These give clear directions to your brain and body. Make a commitment to schedule play, socializing, and exercise. Unconsciously, you'll find yourself less resentful of work and may even start prioritizing fun activities. When accepting assignments, set limits. You can respond with, I'd be glad to work on this once I've finished my other priorities, or yes, thank you for your confidence in me. Please let me know what I can delegate to make this a high priority. End the cycle of feeling like a failure by guaranteeing everything will go perfectly before starting a project. Instead, embrace the idea that a successful person is willing to take reasonable risks. As you set boundaries, you eliminate the trap of victimhood and resentment that often leads to procrastination. Give yourself choices, avoid using have to or should language, and adopt new ways to discuss enjoyable activities while clarifying which tasks feel burdensome. Learn to say no to assignments you feel you should take, preventing the reinforcement of self-criticism at the root of procrastination. Use these 5 strategies assertively and non-defensively to change your perspective. 1. Instead of saying I have to, choose to say I choose to. You don't have to want to, you can choose the consequences of starting or procrastinating. Shift your focus from finishing assignments to thinking about when to start. Ask yourself, what can I do now that will make this easier for my future self? 2. Identify the small steps of a larger project. Don't obsess over a huge demanding task, break it down into manageable steps. Focus on your human abilities rather than perfectionist expectations. Be compassionate towards doing your best work, and avoid self-criticism about your perceived inadequacies. 3. Recognize that you need time to be alone, exercise, and enjoy time with family and friends. Common blocks to action, like procrastination, allow you to avoid disliked work, but the associated anxiety rarely brings enjoyment. Avoid punishing yourself by working all the time. Instead, encourage yourself with rewards or events to look forward to after completing a task. 4. Successful people understand the value of time away from work. Recreation is a chance to feel recreated, re-energize yourself, and be ready for serious work. Some of the most essential and complex learning and work happen during play. 5. The perfectionist fear of criticism hampers self-assurance, making accomplishing tasks difficult. Boost your confidence by recognizing your situation, assessing your options, and pursuing them productively. Ask yourself if you have other choices, consider the worst possible outcome, reflect on what you would do, and find things you can do now to feel safer. Identify steps that help you start working. Pinpoint the specific activities that contribute to your goal of starting a project. Create a schedule and break down the project into segments. Use a reverse calendar to think about the large project in smaller steps, making it more manageable. People often avoid daunting tasks, but facing the situation for even just 30 seconds can help combat fear of incomplete tasks leading to procrastination. Use affirmations during a positive self-affirming conversation to shift and detach from fear. Find an approach that helps you begin. Some procrastinators start with the most rewarding activity. Stop preparing excessively and start taking action, even if it's not at full speed. Understand your task and how to do it, and take breaks. Recognize that others involved may not share your perfectionist tendencies. Getting the job done is more important. Overcoming the inertia of starting is often the most challenging step. Practice by doing a required activity for only 30 minutes. Create an unschedule, a calendar of committed recreational activities that divides the week into manageable pieces with breaks, meals, scheduled socializing, and play. Prioritize planned recreation first. This provides a record of your dedicated work time, guilt-free time for recreation, and a realistic look at the available time for work. Consider these unscheduled guidelines. Scheduled social commitments, meals, sleep times, exercise periods, and routine elements like commutes, medical visits, and classes should be noted in your unschedule. Log every half hour of work, but only after working a full 30 minutes. Provide yourself a reward or switch to a more enjoyable task after 30 minutes of sustained work. Count the hours of work each week to recognize the time you invest. Dedicate one full day a week to recreation. Do 30 minutes of work before any recreational activity. Focus on each start time rather than the end time of a task. Understand that each positive experience when starting an activity brings you closer to the end. Achieving small tasks will ultimately lead you to your larger goals. Approach goals with small tasks. Don't think about reading a whole book, start with one chapter and read for a focused 30 minutes. If you're stuck, push through for an additional 5 minutes and seek a solution. One of the most harmful consequences of procrastination is delaying living. After tracking your schedule for 2 weeks, notice your most productive times and center your activities on those days. Setbacks are normal, but plan for them. If you procrastinate, analyze what triggered the stall and how it made you feel. Some days will be more productive than others, and some days may be too busy to meet your goals. Let those days slide by. Everything won't be perfect, but that's no reason not to start. Both workaholics and chronic procrastinators either work or feel guilty about not working. According to City University of New York professor Suzanne Kilbasa, Partinos, a blend of commitment, control, and challenge helps people succeed. When people feel in control, they can identify what they want, plan for it, and make it happen. They accept ongoing change as a variation of their plans and value time spent with family and friends, seeing it as enhancing their ability to perform better at work. Supervising procrastinators at work. Managing procrastinators at work requires being mindful of how to provide a structure that reduces perfectionism and fear of criticism. Procrastinators often feel overwhelmed by large tasks and deadlines. To help them, establish clear start lines and request rough drafts to keep the focus on the task rather than their ego. Provide frequent praise for steps in the right direction and offer specific guidance for improvement when their work needs enhancement. Avoid threatening or disparaging remarks, as these can worsen their procrastination. When providing feedback, emphasize how their work contributes to the final product. Break down large tasks into manageable steps to celebrate small wins from the beginning. If the employee gets stuck on a problem, offer support. Instead of just demanding completion by the deadline, engaging with them increases the likelihood of achieving positive results for both of you. Remember, procrastination is not a character defect. Author Neil Fiore is a licensed psychologist and a management consultant for industrial, educational, and healthcare organizations. He shares his expertise through extensive publications and frequent appearances on radio and television.
We're keen to hear your thoughts on our content. Feel free to share your opinions or recommend books in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel Business Book Summaries and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest summaries. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.